right, I'm excited about this one here tonight in prime time on the brightest lights, the biggest stage, because I have no doubt, talk about the best aftermath out there. Yes, the best aftermath. Forget about that label. Forget about this band that shares the name, that band that shares the name. This is the band, ladies and gentlemen, that I can assure you is going to make these mutton chops and the hair on the back of my neck crawl and stand up. Because, ladies and gentlemen, I promise you, killing is the future. I promised you. We're all going to be sentenced to die here. We're going to talk about that, but maybe we'll give peace a chance in between. Yeah, we're going to definitely go up and down. We're going to definitely talk about a number of different things because I'm excited about this band because when you think about thrash metal and you think about heavy metal in general, there is one band that's kind of, well, certainly carved out a niche. We're going to talk about that just is celebrating its 40th anniversary. 40 years ago, this past Halloween, this band Aftermath took its place. And now it seems like they're getting their rightful legacy, their rightful respect here. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about some music. We're going to talk about the past. We're going to talk about some different things. We're going to talk about some goals and who knows whatever else. But I am very excited about this one here, especially when it comes to this man. This is a man that has done so much. When you think about Chicago, yeah, you think about the Windy City. You think about Michael and the Bulls winning 6 championships, the Cubs finally winning a World Series. But yes, Chicago is also known for thrash metal. And we're very excited because this is a man that's at the forefront for it. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my great honor to finally introduce this man. He is the man behind the legendary band Aftermath, the one and only Tsiolis. My friend, thank you so much for being here. Congratulations on the new single, and thank you for being here on Sportzwire Radio tonight.
Well, thank you for having me, first of all. And what a great intro, man.
Usually I do the long intros, like a big, like Michael Buffer one, but I've realized in music, because I'm actually, how I kind of got into this is the wrestling world, and Shauna knows me through that, and I've kind of noticed when I did the ones what you were talking about off the air with David Ellefson and Gus G, people don't seem to want me to do that Michael Buffer intro, and you've got better pipes than me anyway, so I'll leave you to do those great vocals on the tracks we'll talk about later on, but I appreciate that. It's usually a lot longer, but thank you for being here, and I'm really excited about the band because you guys just really, you kick it, and I really want to talk about it tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I'm here to talk about anything you want to talk about, and
we have a lot to talk about. Don't you worry. We'll do that here, Charlie. I'll give something to the band later on, but let's start here for those that are listening and watching here in prime time on the brightest lights, the biggest stage, the platform that you, Charlie, and Aftermath have definitely helped christen here, Sportzwire Radio. Talk to me about the brand new single that, well, was a single in the past, but we're going, you might want to say, to death with, and Sentenced to Death, which is out now. Talk to me about it.
Yeah, well, Sentenced to Death is the first song we ever recorded in the studio back in '85. And we went in to make a demo. 4 songs we recorded. 3, Sentenced to Death, Shotgun, Revenge, and The Aftermath, which was an instrumental. Anyways, those 3 songs, forget the instrumental, we never went on to record past that first demo. And that first demo was only for us to hear us, because that was our first time in the studio ever. So we didn't know what we'd sound like. Like, we would rehearse at our drummer's basement. I would just use not a real PA, kind of like an amp, you know what I mean? A little PV, I think it was a PV, whatever.
My mom sings, so I can picture what exactly you're talking about. So I get it.
Yeah, so you couldn't really hear your voice. I was like screaming, but it was hard to be heard. So for all I knew, that first day in the studio, I could have went in there, lay down vocals. I go, oh my God, this is horrible. What am I doing? So it was mainly for us, and it was a 2-track. It was recorded basically live, like one track for all the music, 1 track for the vocals. So you couldn't mix or nothing, you know? So
yeah.
So that demo, we only printed up like, man, I don't remember. I think you had to do 50 at least at the place we went. But we didn't.
Sure.
But I know we didn't share with anybody. We shared it maybe, I don't know how it got out, but we got our first letter ever in the mail from somebody in a metal. It was a mainstream magazine because I found it in a grocery store rack. and it was what was it called? Something like Metal Maniacs, but I don't forget what it
Yeah,
was.
well,
But
I'll make you laugh. It definitely wasn't Circus Magazine. Remember Circus Magazine?
yeah,
It
I had a
definitely wasn't.
subscription.
Yep,
Yeah, I had a
it wasn't that
subscription for 10
magazine.
years. And then out of nowhere, one year they decide to not send me magazines anymore when I paid for the subscription. You know, when they kind of changed in the 90s, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, I remember that. Sure.
Anyway, so yeah, so it was on a scene report for the Midwest, and it was a column. I couldn't even understand it because it was like there was these two guys that were trying to write. They were almost like the Howard Stern of writing scene reports, like more humor and it's jokes, references that you didn't understand as a kid. Because I think they were older, so they put our address in there, and then they didn't put our picture, but just our address. So I started getting mail. For the first time, I go, how the hell did they get out there? Tape trading was big back then,
Yep, yeah. You know what? I did know a lot about that because you think about how everybody got into Metallica and Megadeth. It was through
Metallica
tape trading
started that way.
Yeah, it was all tape trading. It was all, you'll probably, be amazed at this. I grew up just blocks away from Lemoore here in Brooklyn, New York. So I have heard all the stories about the tape trading and everybody going and playing at Lemoore. So I'm well versed in that.
Well, Lemoore is a legendary place. Too bad I never went there, but I mean, that's like one of and the history of metal, like especially
my friend, I'm pretty sure of this. My friend in high school that I was friends with, he was at the last ever show that Lemoore's had, which was in like 2003, I want to say. So I remember it. I remember actually, before we get back to the band, I remember actually when Halford in 2002 came to Lemoore. It was one of the last big Lemoore shows that the venue had, and he was a solo artist at the time. It was a big deal. He came in this
was
like
it during was it during when he did that 2 record? It was called 2.
Oh, it was after he went back to metal and
when he went back to metal.
He did Resurrection, which was his comeback. He was on the Iron Maiden Brave New World tour, and I remember what a big deal that was that he had come back and that was one of like the last big shows Lemoore had. And you going back to tape trading, that's kind of how you guys got this following, which leads us to you guys reworking this song "Sentenced to Death." And are you amazed now, all these years later, that you're re-recording stuff and the response is what it is?
Well, it's the only old song that we are re-recording because it's the only one. Like the Killing Future demo, it was recorded on 24 tracks, so it's almost like an EP. It sounds like it was the first demo that was ever shrink wrapped professional. I remember we were paying attention to all the tape trader lists.
Yep, yeah.
And so. That song everybody liked that song from that newest, like within the band circle. Everybody goes, man, Sentenced to Death is a cool song. And I go, man, that's an old song. That's the first song we ever recorded. One of in the batch of the first songs we ever wrote, And now by our manager, the label, my manager, the other guys in the band, they all really wanted to re-record it. And I was reluctant. Even the day we were going to the studio, but we all did it super quickly. There's only 2 little changes, like during before the solo, there's a stop part, kind of like a Slayer stop part.
Yeah. I've heard the song by now a bunch of times. Sure.
Yeah, and I added the title "They Die, You Die." You know what I mean? And that's the only difference. Otherwise, it's the exact same lyrics and everything. But I'm glad we did it now, man, because I enjoy it now, and it sounds old school.
That's funny that you said that because. When you recorded it the first time, you didn't like it, but now doing it and now it's out there, you like it more. That's fascinating to me. Talk to me about that.
I liked it the first time, but again, I didn't think it needed. I didn't feel like since we got back together, like in 20. We were broken up for 20 years,
Yeah, in 96, right? Then you guys got back together around 2014, 2015.
Yeah,
something like that, right?
Since we got back together, man. We're about to release our third album.
Yeah.
So, and we don't rehearse that much because we mainly want to rehearse once a week, and 4 times a month, and it's usually from 5:30 to about 7 o'clock because then I got to go to work, you know?
I know the feeling. Listen, my mom and dad were in a band together when my dad was alive, and you'll chuckle at this. When practice, you said 5:30 to 7. Usually when my dad was alive and we were, they would record with the band, it was 7 o'clock. It was 7 to 9 usually. You're doing, 5:30 to 7. That they would, when they had the band together, it was always 7 to 9, and you're doing 5:30 to 7. What a small world.
So your dad worked nighttime?
No, it was just that he wanted to play at 7 because we had neighbors and he didn't want to go past 9 o'clock. And, that was always his thing. 7 to 9. It was always 7. It was always 7 to 9, usually a Wednesday or a Thursday. It was always 7 to 9, Wednesday to Thursday. So I know that whole thing about practice. It was always,
You got me thinking back in the original, like from 85 till 85. Between those 10 years, 85 and 96, the first 5 we rehearsed in our drummer's basement.
Well, right now where I'm actually talking to you is where, when my dad was alive, when he had a band, this is actually where, I've never said this before, is actually where we would record. I'm actually sitting where he would actually play on the drums, and it's a different setup now.
What kind of music did he play?
He played pretty much, he played originals, kind of not as heavy as you, but then, my mom went into cover songs now. She'll probably get a kick out of her name being mentioned again. Gus G gave her a happy birthday.
Happy birthday to your mom. I see.
Yeah, it was last week. She got enough happy birthday. Well, she's just kidding. But no, when my dad was alive, it was mostly hard rock, definitely more like a hard rock, a little bit more metal. You're a little more heavier, but local band here. But you guys are definitely, it's amazing to me that you're playing and you do that once a month. And do you feel the band is tighter now than when it was back then?
Well, we released one album called Eyes of Tomorrow back then in 94. 94. Yeah. And then that was the worst year in metal to release an album.
Oh my God, 94 for metal. Listen, Motley Crue was with John Karabi and they played in front of like 500 people.
Well, I see Iron Maiden.
With less than 1,000 people with Blaze Bailey on vocals. I mean,
that place fit about 800.
Testament had the album called Low, and I think they played in front of like 200 people. I mean, that was 94 was really a very bad year. That was like the throes of grunge. Yeah, that was a tough time to release an album.
At that year, we released an album that was basically it was a technical progressive thrash metal album. So the musicianship on that album, if you're a musician, you listen to an album, you'll understand what I mean.
Yeah. No, I get it. I totally get what you're saying.
That playing is like high. You got to be a great musician to play with all musicians in the band back then.
Absolutely. Listen, I mean, yeah.
But so we released that album, man. But then we kind of broke up after that, So it wasn't really promoted. So it was weird that throughout the years, when we were broken up, it kept growing in popularity. That album, and. I remember right before we reunited, there was a Chinese company called Area Death that released a box set, with 3 CDs and a DVD. An Italian label called FOAD, a hardcore label, released vinyl of our demos and a bag, T-shirt. Actually, the bag's hanging over there in my room. It just kept growing. We got invited to do a Headbangers Open Air Festival in Germany. But
I did see that. Yeah, I did notice that. What was that experience like, by the way?
That was great. It was the first time playing out of the country, and besides Canada, But it was great, man, going there. It was outdoors, and all the fans there, they're diehard fans, man.
I know. Listen, when I had Ellefson on, he actually was in Germany when I had him on Sportzwire last month. So yeah, I mean, the heavy metal scene, it never died. In the 90s, heavy metal definitely went underground, but in Europe, it never went away. I mean, it's to me, it's actually bigger now, and it's continued to grow.
I knew that. I knew that as a kid traveling because I was born in Greece, but I came to America when I was like 9 months old. So, so I never lived, but I've been back.
I grew up with a lot of Greek kids growing up.
Well, I remember in the mid 80s when we'd go on vacation, I was just a music fanatic. All I wanted to look for is record stores in Greece. Yeah. I found record stores, but the only thing that was Scorpions were huge there. And then later on Iron Maiden. So I noticed even before I was in a band that, it's crazy that I thought Greece, you went on vacation, and when you're aware of music and you're looking for music and you come from America, you think, wow, these people are more into it than my friends in America.
Yeah,
And then,
the American heavy metal scene, it's not nowhere near what it is in Europe, and that's certainly given you guys this following, this devoted following and such, and having the single here, and I know you guys are in the studio right now,
yeah,
and you're working with Chuck McCaskick, who's done a lot of stuff out there, right? And he has a studio, Electroworks Studios, and talk to me about
yeah.
the studio process and just when do you think we'll have a new album?
Well, this is the third album like we've made since we came back, and all with Chuck,
Yep.
and yeah, he's worked with a lot of people here. Every time I
Yep.
talk to him, I'm surprised that he brings up. So yeah, I work with them. I go, you have? Like,
He's got a long. He's worked with people of all
real long.
genres. Yep.
Yeah, real long. And I think the album sound great with them. Engineering, we're pretty.
Yep.
But the album's done. It's going to be 12 songs. All the
Okay.
songs are recorded and done. The only thing our guitar player Steve wants to
Yes.
add a few more, change one solo. Even though we all think it's great, but he wants to do it again. So after he finishes that, we're just going to send it to get mastered. And the album is man, I love it. If I didn't love it, honestly, like why would I give it to the world? Like if I didn't think it was great,
I don't know. I mean, some people, I guess, they have their reasons, and we are very honored to have here on.
I think you got to be
Sportzwire Radio.
insane to like if I recorded like this album, because man, this album is the longest we had to live after basically it was almost pretty much recorded. We've had months now, with it being done. We never did that before, with the other ones. We finished it and then we, mastered it and it was done, right?
Yeah.
This one, man, we've even like since it's been recorded, these songs have gotten better. So we've changed a few things that we wanted to, that we, when you rehearse and then let's say we recorded it in some song in June by October.
Right.
But then again, we don't rehearse that much, man. Because like I was saying,
you only do it once a week, so you're in the studio. You're recording 4 times a month.
Once a week, though. But the thing is that we don't make 4 times a month. We luckily, let's say sometimes we don't even make no time a month. So these 3 albums were written almost like magically. Like I'm driving around listening because I got them on my phone, and I'm listening to it now to add like some in between things, some dialogue on some musical parts. And I'm driving around listening to it. And I'm thinking, man, how the hell do we do this, man? Because these last 3 albums, especially the first one that we released after we had one album, like I said, 93, 94. Yeah. That album was supposed to come out in 89 because we signed a deal with this label called Big Chief, and it was supposed to be distributed through Metal Blade, and it went bankrupt while we were recording. They gave us the money to, half the money to start, and then the other half would come when we finished, right? But in the middle, they went bankrupt. So we were stuck with the bill. And it was like...
I've heard this story before with artists that have come on here. That's unfortunately, people think you get the record deal and all of a sudden you're rich. And no, usually you have to pay them back because they give you an advance for...
Well, for us, man, we got stuck with a bill because if we didn't pay the recording, the rest of the... When we finished... The studio wouldn't give us the master tape, so we couldn't get the album, So it took us 4 years to pay it off because we were young. Only one of us had a job. I think one of us. All the other 4 guys, we didn't have a job. So every week when we practiced, it became like one of the guys would have to deal with the studio and go, "Hey, man." He'd come to practice and say, "Let me collect money for the studio." And it switched throughout the 4 years. And every time somebody had to do that in the band, he became like the enemy. Man, I don't have the money, so everybody hated doing it. Man, I don't want to collect the money.
We are very honored to have here on Sportzwire Radio tonight the one and only Charlie Tsiolis. He is the voice of the band Aftermath. They have a brand new single that is out right now, and you should check it out on the band's YouTube, Instagram, Facebook pages. You can also check them out via TLG Zoid Records, which is a subsidiary of the Virgin Music Group. So definitely want to check the band out. Their song is called Sentenced to Death, in open and closed parentheses, They Die, You Die. They also have another video out on the TLG Zoid YouTube channel called Eyes of Tomorrow, and it's got 46,000 views. So you want to make sure you support the band. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice figuratively and literally where all music matters here on Sportzwire Radio. Like, share, and subscribe to us and follow the band Aftermath. What does Chuck bring to the band that helps bring out these songs that we're singing? When you're working with Chuck in the studio, what does Chuck do for the band?
He's just real laid back, and he's a great engineer. We record with him. It's easy, you know. I mean, it's like almost like he's always been there, you know. Like you meet somebody and you always like you could talk like forever, you know.
Like Cheers. I remember Cheers. It's like Cheers. You go out there and he's just sitting there, and you go in the bar, and that vibe.
And once in a while, he'll throw in a few. Not really. We produced it ourselves. You know what I mean? Okay. So he's more the hands-on engineer guy. You know, which I love the sound of the albums, man. The first one was a concept album, by the way. There Is Something Wrong, and that concept album is basically, you know what it's like. You know, Pink Floyd's Animals.
Yeah.
Well, that is based on kind of like almost like Orwell, 1984, the book Orwell. you know, pigs. Dogs, they're all based on politicians, authority, you know, the police.
Well, that's the lyrics in this song in the video. I mean, I got the message. You obviously the band has been, asking this question on Facebook and wait, who should get the death penalty? I mean, not going down that road.
Well, for sentence to death, I believe, man, eye for an eye. You know what I mean? I believe like I would never ever get into an altercation or anything with another human being unless they came up and did something. Just like, let's say you're walking by down the street, somebody just bumps into you real hard and just doesn't say nothing. You know, I just got to deal with it. You know, and not deal with it. I mean, I wouldn't be able to just walk away. You know, but if he says I'm sorry, and it could be the hardest hit, man, I'll go, okay, cool, right? And kind of eye for an eye. And on the new album, we got a song called Lex Tsiolis, the Vigilante song. And it's basically like all about eye for an eye, almost like
wearing my John Wick shirt, ultimate vigilante, right there.
Well, and this one I want to have a sample in the beginning. I'm going to say it. It's like a surprise if you hear it, like Death Wish, Charles Bronson.
Oh, of course. I mean, I watched it was the one in New York. I always watched as a kid, the one where he's in New York. It was Death Wish 4 or whatever it was. And they showed him in like the really bad neighborhood in New York City. And of course I remember Death Wish, all those movies.
I took a sample from a YouTube video where he's the guy, he goes, "Who are you?" He goes, "Death." And
there was an Overkill song that had a reference to that also. I forget which one it was, but it was either on I forget which it was.
It wasn't that part, right? Was it that part?
No, it wasn't that, but it was a kind of Death Wish. Like I forget the album it was. It'll come to me when we're off the air, but I like that already. I mean, so people get excited about
this. When the shot happens, then the song kicks in.
Oh, well, it's funny you said that because actually one of the things I use on my streams when I'm not doing music is this. The bang. I actually use that. Yeah, I use it. I use the bang.
I know what he said. He goes, "Who are you? Who the fuck are you?" And he shoots him, and then the Vigilante song begins.
I love it. I think we're all going to be excited about that. Is there pressure for you to follow up No Time to Waste with this record coming out?
Well, it was No Time to Waste. Man, I love that album.
It was a great album. It was a great album.
Yeah, because I mean, there was all the songs from the first song when it begins with the scumbags are in control. Yep. When the album kicks in. The scumbags are the politicians. They run the world. Like
you and I think the same way. I've worked for many of them, so I'm with you on that.
Well, the lyrics of the band, they're all like serious lyrics. I mean, they're all like trying to inform the public of things they might consider conspiracies or whatever. But the funny thing is, there's one song on the There Is Something Wrong album called Pseudocide, and that song mentions 33 conspiracies that were always considered, "What are you, crazy? That's a conspiracy." That are proven reality now. So we mentioned them in the song. Just mention them. So it's just about to inform the public, like to wake up a little bit. You know what I mean? Because you got to admit, man, like the public's, a lot of people are clueless to even what the political system. You know how many people? I'm not going to get on a political tangent, but it surprised me that people don't even know that the Federal Reserve, what it is, and it's not part of the government. It's like an independent thing. Yeah. There's basic things like that.
People don't even know just that the penny is going to be no longer made anymore. I mean, people just unfortunately don't. They just they have either low IQ or a fast food society. But you guys have always been very direct in terms of messages out there. It's bands like yourself. I think a Warrior Soul, Once Upon a Time, Megadeth is certainly. Mustaine has gone into that realms at times. Queensryche has done it. I mean, do you feel subconsciously, at least whether it's been in the past or what we're going to hear coming up with this new record, that the band should be maybe writing or talking about current events?
It's not current event. It's like, for instance, like we got a song called "False Flag Flying." The first song when we came back. The album came out in '94. Our second album came out in 2015, right?
Yep.
So there's a long. So the first "False Flag Flying," that's just describing stuff that happened back even during the Vietnam, how we got into the war, or World War II, what a false flag is.
Right. Yeah.
Who causes it? Where does it come from? So it's not current events. It's like basically, it's everything. I mean, it's why. See, it's just knowledge that I feel the world needs to know.
Yeah, no, I think that as a musician, if you feel
we've been lied to about everything, and constantly the two-party system. Think about it. They're both parties are together. They're not. They only present that to us as two parties, so we can think we have a choice, and then
they want to divide people on purpose.
Exactly. That's what I was just saying. It's all about dividing us. Everything's about dividing us.
Divide and conquer. That's why the people at the top stay in power. I mean, there's no question about that. But you have a song that, definitely wanted to bring people together rather than divide and conquer. It was a John Lennon cover, obviously, Give Peace a Chance. And it got 1.2 million views. I mean, I got to ask you.
You know your stuff.
You also said you knew who I was. So, I mean, obviously, listen, this is going to be a different interview than the ones you've done before. But, I mean, what did that mean to you and the band over 5 years ago to have Give Peace a Chance get 1.2 million views? What did that mean to you and the band?
That's great because the message is so good. And the little girl in the video, filmed where you're at, New York City,
But I was going to say Steve Nathan directed the video.
Yeah, and she's walking down Central Park, right?
Yep.
And then the thing is, she comes into John Lennon's Strawberry Fields or whatever.
Yep.
And then she picks up his round glasses. You've seen them before. Puts them on, and then sees through his eyes. So she's like in the bed end. You know what I mean? That's why she's in bed drawing the signs. Get peace and all that stuff. Yep. So, and I thought we would never do a cover, but that fit with what our thing is. Like, hey man, he was basically just saying, give peace a chance. And the reason he was putting ads and he was doing that out of the hotel is because he goes, hey, everything's about advertisement. I'm going to advertise that peace is a possibility,
Absolutely.
So, and then the lyrics and everything were, something that I felt like, yeah, man, I know what he's talking about. But when it came to the fourth verse, though, when I was in the studio, I was looking at the lyrics. I go, man, he just mentions everybody in the room that was there when he recorded the original version. So I can't sing people's names. It was on the spot. That's why I felt we were meant to cover it. I just decided, you know what I'll put, man, all the wars that America's been part of since the beginning of the United States.
Yep.
And I named all the wars like Indian, Mexican, federal, you know what I mean? And they fit perfectly in the verse.
Yep.
Right. So the fourth verse is the thing with all the wars. And I'm glad it's gotten that many views and stuff like that, because the message, man, it's just positive. Because again, all of us, 99% of the people of the world, we only have one enemy. It's the 1% that run the world. So
I agree completely. I mean, at the end of the day, we all should be on the same side. I think that song covering that and getting that many views, it definitely opened a lot of doors for the band. Because I know that the band has such a really interesting history and different things, but to have something like that go viral the way it did, I mean, it's gotta give you that strength to say, you know what, maybe we can do different things. Maybe we can, as we talked about a few minutes ago, write or talk about things that maybe people do want to hear that may not necessarily think of a band like what Aftermath could bring to the table.
Well, obviously, by us talking about that, it's not a career move. You want to tell bands to talk about controversial subjects like that. You know what I mean? So It's what I truly believe when I write all these lyrics. But the thing is, we need it more now than ever, because, man, in my time in the 90s, I never thought we'd ever talk about racism ever again. No,
I know. You know, when I was in school and everybody was like, "Oh, this why today in 2026 that this stuff was supposed to have been eradicated," but yet,
man, if you talk to me in the '90s, man, nobody I knew, nobody in the metal scene, nobody in Chicago, man, where we hung out in Wicker Park and everything, it was
yeah.
multi-racial. I mean, nobody
Yeah.
ever
No,
thought of.
listen. I mean, I'm from New York City. I mean, and to me, in 2026, we're still talking about these things,
Well, if
and
you're in the city, you've been in the city, right? That's what
yeah,
Chicago's like, the city,
yeah.
especially
Oh, I know. Yeah, absolutely. No,
places like
listen,
Brooklyn or Wicker Park, where they're hipster areas. Man,
yep.
if you were racist back then, you'd be crucified. Nobody even thought
I
like that
know it's a different world, and I do want to talk
because they're
about. Yep. God.
because they're trying to divide us more than ever now. Like
Absolutely. No, that's
we're
absolutely.
they're dividing us. Even the gay, homosexual world and everything.
Yep.
They
Yeah.
divide it with the LGBT and everything. Where now you have gay people, anti-trans. You know what I mean? They divided everything. And there was a speech on our first album that's hidden subliminally, but you can hear it at some points. This guy in the 60s or something went and recorded a double-sided vinyl of him speaking the truth of what's going to happen in the world. And even back then in the speech, they go, they're going to divide the public so much, they're going to divide the gay people. And back then he said it, you know what I mean? And
It's again, what is it? Is divide and conquer, and that's
yeah, a
certainly
classic, right?
well, it's all classic textbook.
Well, it's bread and circus. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, listen, it's what comes around goes around. Now, I got to talk about obviously the label that you guys are on. Obviously, it's a very important one. I had mentioned it recently, and that is TLG Zoid, which is the label group you're on. It's a part of Virgin Music Group, and there's some big names on here. You know, this guy Billy Morrison, everybody knows, and he was on one of the last recorded songs that this guy everybody else knows, Ozzy Osbourne.
Yeah,
and he's had some major hits. And talk to me about being a part of this label. I know your brother is obviously involved in it, and he was involved in signing this band. Everybody knows Soil, but talk to me about being a part of the TLG Zoid label group here, a subsidiary of Virgin Music.
Well, it's amazing because we started it when we wanted to put out Eyes of Tomorrow, right before we broke up,
Yep.
The Zoid label. So that my brother took it to the level where basically the last Ozzy Osbourne vocal ever came out through that is mind blowing. You know what I mean?
I know it's a crazy stuff. A lot of people don't realize that your label that you're on are on the last recorded songs of Ozzy Osbourne. That's a major thing.
No, that blows my mind because come on, man. That's the vocals from Black Sabbath that started it all.
And they were hit songs. I mean, Crack Cocaine was a song that, I mean, everybody played that everywhere on the radio. That's on your, that was a number one hit. And then the song after that was another big hit too.
That's pretty catchy. And then they were there. My brother was there when they were recording it in the studio. And they said,
yeah, I saw the pictures. Yeah.
And he goes, it was amazing because they brought him in and you thought, how's he going to record? Because he was like in a chair, could barely move. And he said, as soon as he went to record vocals, it was like he came alive. So it shows you the power of music that moment, right? Like
absolutely.
A guy's like basically they're seeing how's he going to get it done. He looks like he's withering away, he's on deathbed, and then he lights up and does those vocals, and those vocals are pretty strong Ozzy vocals,
Absolutely.
And it blows my mind, man. It's crazy. And Billy Morrison, he's he
was great guitarist. I mean, Billy Idol's guy. I mean,
plus he was Ozzy's best friend for the last 15 years.
They did the show on Sirius XM together. Ozzy Speaks. I used to listen to it all the time.
Yeah, because I heard it through close sources that Ozzy really, at the end, he needed a friend like Billy Morrison. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, he met him, and come on, what's better to have a really good guy friend? Especially one that's
absolutely no. And you're on this label, and I think that's got to be exciting for you guys that you're on a label with some really big acts. We mentioned Billy Morrison, Smile Empty Soul. I mean, you got some big heavy hitters that you guys are a part of. I think that's got to motivate the band into releasing music and doing continued bigger and better things.
Well, yeah, it's great, and we're happy for that, especially. But we're almost like we're so much about the music, you know what I mean, and the lyrics, and we're just kind of blown away how we got an album that we all love a third time since we came back. So it's almost like manifest destiny, like something's leading us to it. Not to sound corny, you know what I mean, But
Yeah, no, absolutely, not totally.
like when I hear
totally
our
get
new
it.
album, I go, man, if I didn't know this was us and I heard it, I go, it seems like it's would take a while to write these songs because every song is memorable with a catchy. I hate to say catchy choruses because I'm a real music fanatic. So
Yeah,
whenever
I wouldn't say aftermath and catchy hooks. I mean, we're not gonna recreate the wheel in the next
no, but
aftermath record's gonna
this
sound
one
like
has
Bon
them.
Jovi.
This one
Yeah,
has
okay.
them. Yeah,
Well,
it has
that's
them
pretty cool.
to the
That's
point. And we didn't write it. It's almost like do you remember Van Halen's "Women and Children First"?
yes. Come and save the
Yeah,
someone's daughter,
or
but I think women
"In
and
the
children
Cradle of
first. Yep.
Rock."
Yes,
Everybody
and
wants some.
where Eddie used the keyboard. Absolutely, yes.
Yeah,
There was
Romeo
Fool.
Delight,
Was
heavy ass
Fool.
song.
Yep, yep.
You ever heard of?
Romeo's Delight. That was another big one.
Yeah, you
Romeo's
know,
Delight.
yeah, I think Mike Portnoy and maybe some band did a killer cover of that I heard. That was amazing. But anyways, remember the sound?
I think Doug Pinnick was on vocals. I think for that, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
I
Doug
remember.
Pinnick.
Actually,
Yeah,
there's been a couple covers of that. Because
yeah,
everybody that's just
yeah,
like a thrash song.
oh, yeah.
But
Absolutely.
that album was just badass, loud, heavy, hard rock, almost
Yeah,
metalish.
yeah. Fair Warning and Women and Children First were Van Halen's heaviest albums. I agree with you.
Yeah, and Chuck, the engineer, thinks this has a vibe like that era of rock. You know what I mean? Metal, hard rock. You know what I mean? So it's
I
got
can see that.
yeah, it's nothing like Isis Tomorrow was a totally technical progressive thrash.
Yep.
Killing the Future was totally straight up crossover. Before there was crossover.
It's funny. Killing is the Future almost reminds me of like the counterpart of Killing is My Business. Get it? Megadeth. Killing is My Business. Your Killing is the Future.
Well, what I thought back then when we wrote it, I mean the demo, 5 songs, all fucking total fast thrash. Yeah, basically crossover. It's almost like it's a Slayer met DRI kind of would be, right?
Yeah, you know what? And it's funny that you said that because in school, I remember there were kids that I was friends with were into DRI, and I didn't really get it, but you guys definitely have that reference, and I have the record there. If people want to buy Killing the Future, you can do that there, and you can buy it on Bandcamp. You can also go to the band's record label. Yep.
Well, the reason the songs, see, when I heard Kill 'Em All, and when I heard Show No Mercy, well, Kill 'Em All, Show No Mercy. Like I loved Whiplash on Kill 'Em All. I loved the thrash songs on there. Whiplash. What was it? Man, Hit the Lights.
Yep.
But some of the other songs I felt like were still rooted in the heavy metal world.
Four Horsemen. Yeah.
Yeah, they weren't something new like Whiplash. You go, what the hell is that, man? And so I go, man, it'd be great, man, if I formed a band that was all like Whiplash, all the songs, like all straight through. And this is before Rain and Blood, way before, you know what I mean? Where Slayer is the epitome of the greatest thrash album. So we made this demo, and it came out like that. And then we just sent that out to Metal Forces and a bunch of magazines. And the Metal Forces was the main magazine back then. I remember waiting every month from it to come from Europe, right? It was from England. It was like Kerrang, Metal Forces.
Yeah, I know Kerrang.
But Metal Forces was the most respected, and everything, like everybody. And they had a contest going on. They're going to pick the 5 best bands around the world, new bands, and they're going to make a vinyl called Scream.
And weren't you guys in that, if I'm not mistaken, right? Weren't you guys in that?
Yeah. And I just sent it in for a review for the Demolition section. Man, out of nowhere, I get a call from the editor, Bernardo, from England. I thought somebody was pulling a prank, so I hung up the first time. I thought it's got to be some friend of mine fucking with me, And then he called back, and I could barely understand what he was saying. And I didn't want to go, huh, what, huh? Because he goes, blah, 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 blah. And then he goes, we picked you. So they picked us as one of the 5 bands. The 5 bands were us, Leviathan, which was Chris Barnes' first band from Cannibal Corpse.
Yeah. I know.
Anacrusis, Atrophy, and Angel of Death from Australia, And man, that got everywhere. Even that demo just really exploded. I was getting mail, and we were getting tons of mail every day at my house because that was the address. I get open up envelopes. I remember pulling out 5s, or if it was from South America, they all wanted a free CD. Yeah, which I enjoyed. But interviews, to the point at one point, the mail stacked up so high that before we went on vacation in Europe one summer, I didn't want to leave for 3 months, just a fun vacation with my friends. I didn't want to leave and have mail stack up even more, right? So 4 of us sat in my kitchen for 24 hours answering mail listening to Pink Floyd's The Wall over and over again.
Well, that's certainly an interesting thing. We are here with Charlie Tsiolis. You need to follow Aftermath on Instagram. You need to hit the sub button for the TLG Zoid Label Group's YouTube channel, where you can see the band's new video. You can also follow them on Facebook. You can also check them out here coming up in 2026, because the band is working on a new album which will be released and to be announced for those details. So please support the band. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice figuratively and literally where all music matters here on Sportzwire Radio. Please again support the band. Also like, share, and subscribe to us. And we are here for a little while longer with Charlie and the band's new single, Sentenced to Death. You will be sentenced to death if we're sentenced to die if you don't watch it. So you need to watch the video, because you probably will be sentenced to death without it. But we'll certainly hear for a little while. I got to ask you this question, Charlie, because I know that you've done a lot in your career. And I would like to ask this to people like yourself. Do you have any advice for anybody that's an up-and-coming musician?
Well, right now, it's so different from when we started. See, when we started, we right away were part of a new genre, that didn't exist before. So we're no older guys. I remember back then the older Maiden and UFO fans would go, "You guys play that noise stuff that's coming out of there?" So for us, it was great that, think about it, man. Imagine if you were one of the first rock and roll guys playing rock and roll. It's so much more exciting than joining a genre 40 years later, right?
Yeah.
Because everything's kind of been done, But so if you're new now, and there's more bands than ever, like never did I think in my life, like in this room, there's like 5,000 CDs, literally.
I know the feeling.
Yeah, so I thought I knew everything. At one point, I knew every band that existed, I felt, right? Now, if I scroll through Spotify's metal list, I go, man, I don't, let's say you go through 40 bands, I go, man, I know 2 of these bands, And I'm a guy that looks around for stuff, let alone, imagine being not in music. My friends, they know nothing. The last new bands they heard about was Pantera or something,
Yeah, I just had on a new band a few days ago. Yeah, a band that has 1 million streams on Spotify, Bastion Rose, and they're produced by David Bottrell, who produced Tool's big albums, and also Godsmack Faceless. And yeah, there's a lot of people out there that just think that the heavy metal world ended with Pantera, but no, there's a lot of bands.
There's a group of people like that. They're like, they don't pay attention to anything afterwards.
Yeah, they just it stopped. It just stopped after.
At least go to something like Five Finger Death Punch. They're kind of like, I picture fans of Pantera that would be into that band. Similar.
Yeah, the tough guy image. It's in the vein a little. I think Five Finger Death Punch was a little bit more mainstream, but yeah, I think that's Volbeat is another band that people got into for a while. Had a bunch of radio songs. Yeah, Volbeat was another one. Yeah, there's certain bands.
That band, like, they're pretty cool. Rob, the
Volbeat for a while had one of the guitarists for Anthrax for a while.
Yeah, Rob.
Rob Caggiano.
Yeah, because Rob Caggiano also had a studio in New York.
He did. Yeah, Rob was a producer. He produced a bunch of punk bands. And then
I was in the band in the early 2000s called Stripping the Pistol. Our drummer was Joe from Soulfly. He was the drummer in the band and stuff. And he actually liked our demo or something like that. And we were and talked about working with us with this manager that was in between. He managed Cinderella. He managed Kiss for a while. Megadeth he managed for a while. I forgot his name.
Yeah, I think you're talking about. Yeah, not
his name?
Not Doc McGee, because you said Cinderella and Kiss.
No, not Doc McGee. But he managed Cinderella as his first band. And then I know he managed Megadeth right before, remember Mustaine quit a while in the early 2000s?
Oh, yeah, he did. Yes, he did, because he had a hand injury, and he left for a couple years. Yeah,
that's one of the guys. So he told us that he heard our demo, and he wanted to work with us, Stripping the Pistol at the time,
Okay.
Funny Rob, But Volbeat, though, the vocals are kind of strange, you know what I mean? It's almost like it's hard to me. His voice is cool, but it's so really unique, It's almost like Danzig, Elvis. It's wild.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I was going to ask you, because this past Halloween was the 40th anniversary of the band forming, and what does that mean to you now to be 40 years in?
It's wild. I'll tell you one thing, man. Time flies, man. It goes so fast. So all young bands out there are all like, youngsters that are they're in their early 20s.
Yeah.
You'll snap your finger, you'll be in your 40s for real. But anyways, it's just great because we formed it October 31st, Halloween night of '85. And we were around only a decade at the beginning, and we didn't do tours around the world. So
yeah, you only did in the first run of the band. What was it like, 30 something shows or something like that?
33. Man,
I knew my stuff.
Yeah, how do you know that? That's pretty wild.
Because that's why. Well, Shauna, she likes me, so she knew that.
No, that's amazing, man. Because I was telling my niece the other day because she's 14, and it seems the classic thing, like she doesn't anything about my band. She goes, "Oh, that's cool." She loves.
And I think the manager you were referring to with Megadeth was Bud Prager, if I'm not mistaken.
No, that's not the name, man.
Because Bud was he was the manager for the band in the up till about 2000.
He managed Kiss for a while.
Okay.
Well, man, I know his name. Like I know his name, but for some reason I can't remember it right now.
Okay, but I mean, 40 years though. I mean, that's an impressive accomplishment.
Yeah, what was I saying? So
we're talking about how the bands. We only in the first run, you guys only had 33 shows.
33 shows. That's like a normal band's tour, live thing. Most bands, 33 shows. What they take like 2 months to do, maybe that many. We took 10 years because the first 5 years we played the most. We played with all the, like you said, Chicago. There were some early death metal bands here that we played show, hardcore bands. So the scene was really, cool here. But then
you probably ran into Tom Morello at some point because he was a Chicago guy. I mean,
Tom Morello, Billy Corgan, Adam from Tool.
Yep.
Adam from Tool. That's funny. The three, like even from Soundgarden, the guitar player.
Oh, Kim Tile.
Kim Tile, Tom Morello, and Tool. Adam from Tool.
Yep. Adam Jones. I spoke a lot about Adam with David Bottrell. Of course.
Yeah, and they're all from the same area here.
Yeah.
And think about it. They're kind of like the three guitar players in the 90s. They were the most cutting edge. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and listen, Tom Morello, we know, was the music producer of Back to the Beginning. And we know, I mean, Kim Tile was hugely influenced by Black Sabbath and, Tool. I mean, but it's kind of interesting that a lot of people, when they think about thrash metal, right, they always think about California, San Francisco, the Bay Area, but yet Chicago, and you guys were a part of that huge heritage of heavy metal and thrash metal in some forms from where you guys, and I kind of think sometimes Chicago gets slept on a bit.
Well, yeah, we had forgotten something, but like I said, the first 5 years we played with local bands, right? They're right, mm-hmm. But the last 5 years of the band back then, we only opened up for bands that came out of town that were big, like we played with the Crumbsuckers from New York, we played with Merciful Fate, we played with Sacrifice, we played with Flotsam and Jetsam, with the Metal Fest, Milwaukee Metal Fest. We did that 3 times.
I know Milwaukee Metal Fest.
We played with Trouble. We played with a lot the last 5 years only. So, but basically it was like once a year we play in Chicago, but it'd be a big show. It wouldn't be local, it'd be us and Merciful Fate or whatever. And then when we broke up, we did so little, we didn't tour and burn ourselves out. So it was when we came back again, we weren't like our drummer and our guitar player never even tried to play with another band. Yeah. I did with the one of the guys in the band. We made Stripping the Pistol,
Yep.
So they came back fresh. They weren't burnt out from touring. It's almost like we continued from the 80s. 90s, I guess, since we broke up. So it felt fresh.
Yeah.
It felt new. And we were only supposed to come back together to do one show. And then somehow, man, we're here and we stayed. You know what I mean? And because
we're glad, we're happy that you have it. And obviously we want to make sure everybody goes to the TLG Zoid label group's website where you can see some information on Aftermath. You can also check out some of the guys' works. You can also make sure you support the other guys in the band. Ray's on drums, Ray Schmidt. George is on bass. George has also done some backing vocals on the band's new album. Steve Sacco on guitar. And the band is celebrating their 40-year anniversary. And we have a lot of stuff to talk about with the band coming up in 2026. Also, the band most notably has a brand new single out there called Sentenced to Death, open and close parentheses, They Die, You Die. Also, Eyes of Tomorrow is out there, and that has 46,000 views. And they also have a video, which you have to check. Give Peace a chance. Just like give Aftermath a chance. 1.2 million views. That's right, 1.2 million views. And their Spotify following is growing. It's growing by the day and the minute. And I know I only got a few moments with it, but I got to give you something. I want to give the band something because I know the band has done so much for the metal community. It would be my honor if I could do this. I'm going to share my screen because I want the band to have this. We're so thankful for you guys being here. And it is my great honor now for those that are listening and watching here on Sportzwire Radio to induct you guys into my Hall of Fame. So you guys now are Hall of Famers. So I've inducted you into my Hall of Fame. You are in the Sportzwire Radio Hall of Fame as a band. So congratulations.
Well, thank you very much, man. I mean, first of all, if every interview was like with you, man, it's a pleasure because
you can come on anytime you want.
Your energy and your research, man, is amazing. You know, that you knew that we did like basically 30 shows back then is kind of blowing my mind. When I mentioned it to my
niece, I appreciate that. Well, I mean, hopefully Shauna will say, boy, that's why we like him. No, I appreciate that very much. That's very kind of you. I want to make sure that people get that clip out there. I'll put it on my Instagram page. But I mean, obviously we'll give you the physical copy. We'll give it to Shauna. We'll take care of that. And I mean, let me ask you, I mean, do you have goals for the band here coming up? Obviously, we know that the 2 singles are out. But is there goals for you guys in 2020? It's like, would you want to play out more shows or more things like that? Because I feel like a band like you guys, I'd love to see you guys out there and such more often.
Since we came back, we've done, I forgot how many shows, maybe 10 or something like that.
Yeah, not many. It's not many.
Yeah, and we know we will play out live. But the thing is, like,
you got to play out in New York City, by the way, so I can go meet you and I can see you guys kick some ass.
We played out one time after Aftermath broke up. Yeah. We became Mother God Movie Star. Yeah, and we were signed to Interscope, and we came to New York and we played twice. We played Coney Island High.
Yes. Yeah.
And we played a place called Life, and it was at midnight. And those are in New York, I guess it was a new club. You know how they always change names.
It's the New York rock scene's just.
And the thing is, Mother God, we were touring with this band called Jenna Torturers.
Okay.
And in Jenna Torturers was at the time David Vincent from Morbid Angel was the bass player because he was married to Jen, you know. And Chuck from Crumbsuckers was on guitar, so it was kind of funny. Like these threatening us. Mother God Mover which was the Aftermath guys. So it was old school thrashers playing on this tour because it was more Jenna Torturers were more like 9 Inch Nails, you know.
Yeah, that was a weird time in music. Like you said, you referenced Halford did the whole thing with 2 and
that's exactly when 1998 when we put out our album on the same label as Halford, Interscope.
Yep. Interscope. Yeah, it was, and you guys were involved in the lawsuit that everybody, talks about to this day, and the whole thing with that, and Dr. Dre, and
Yeah, that's annoying, man. And believe it or not, man, when the name Aftermath, I came up with a list of names. I was working at O'Hare at the time. I was like 19 or whatever, and I was at the X-ray machine where you're supposed to see what gone, like when you go through security.
Yeah.
The company was for United, but I worked for another company called Andy Frame that did those things, right? So I was daydreaming because they'd leave us looking at the X-ray machine for hours when you were supposed to get off. So I was writing down band names, and I had a list of about 30 names, and I took it to the band, and out of that list, everybody liked Aftermath the most. So we picked that name. But
it's a catchy name. No, it's a catchy name.
At the time, nobody knew what it meant. People would go, Aftermath, what is it, English? You know what I mean? Aftermath English, like it was like aftermath class, English. Or people, now it's used for everything. I hear that word every day now. The aftermath of the dinner.
It's been used. Listen, once somebody finds a name and discovers it, that's
there's some words like that. Even gaslight is a word that it's
gaslight's that's a huge term used in politics. Everybody, you're gaslight.
Yeah, now it's now normal people are using it. Regular people don't gaslight me. You're like anybody. Even girls, I see this video with some girl yelling at another girl, a fight, and it just popped up. Like some crime video. She goes, "Don't gaslight me," and then she, that's a new word. Well, you look it up. It says when the words got active with the public, right? So aftermath was a new word, but man, if I had my choice right now, I would never use a word now that was just a word in the dictionary. You know what I mean?
You're trying to be different, and then everybody.
Well, the other bands I was in, Mother God Movie Star. After that, I made that up, and Stripping the Pistol. Those weren't like something in the dictionary.
And those names aren't thought of anytime soon. Yeah, that's definitely.
But now Aftermath, it's Aftermath. We're Aftermath And
Well, I'm glad you didn't change the name because Anthrax went through the same thing after 9/11, if you remember. And everybody was like, should they change the name? And after September 11th, they had the benefit. It was actually where Twisted Sister had come back at the time. And Anthrax at the time when John Bush was in the band, they actually came out on stage and they said they came out and dressed up in Anthrax gear and said, we are not going to change the name. And I kind of think you did the right thing in the long run. I know you could have maybe changed the name or took the money after the lawsuit.
Well, everybody thought.
But I think you did the right thing because I don't think you changed who you are.
Well, everybody thought, man. Well, that's what it seems like. Think about it. Like we go to court with Dr. Dre. Everybody thinks we lose and we can't use the name anymore. Because then we break up, right? But we never lost the rights to the name. I have the trademark. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the thing we took Dre to court was for a preliminary injunction to stop him before he comes out.
You just ran into bad luck with a judge.
But right after that, the band broke up for other reasons. I wanted to make an album that was like started out as a metal band, and at the end of the album became totally a DJ.
I just think it was, I think also it was a tough time for metal in America in the 90s. I mean, it was basically, unless you were Pantera, Metallica, or Megadeth, nobody, listen, Ozzy made Ozfest as a response because he couldn't get on Lollapalooza. I mean, that was really the world we were in the 90s. I mean, 90s metal in America went underground. And like I said, it was only, to me, three bands, and Slayer was still Slayer, but they always had more of a cult following. But I mean, listen, the heavy metal scene, so I could understand why you were going to try to explore. And I think that, listen, you did what you had to do. And
I'm a music fanatic. So
I could see that. I could see why.
Yeah. I mean, I could listen to Bauhaus. I could listen to fucking The Clash. I could listen to some.
Well, you guys have the punk. In hearing the bands where you have the punk crossover. I mean, listen, metal and punk, especially thrash. I mean, you hear the chord influences. I mean, and I think what we see in the song "Sentenced to Death" out there. I mean, I could hear the reference. I could hear it in the previous work, "No Time to Waste," and Killing the Future. So, I mean, look, there's no question that's that. Before I let you go, though, I mean, how important has your brother been in your career?
Well, since we got back together, real important, because he's the one that kind of made me do it, because I didn't want to get back together because I just didn't think we ever would. You know what I mean? It's not something I even wanted, But then once we got offered, some guy in Czech Republic started a MySpace page. And then he asked us first back then. That's how it started, because that guy, we go. I don't care. Go ahead. But then the page started getting more important, like things like, you want to play in Germany? Can you do this? He goes, man, I feel bad now. I think you guys should take over the page, because it's not just a fan page now. It's real requests for business. So once we took it over, my brother took over the business, because he's a lawyer. He's the one that was responsible for Soil's big deal. When we sued Dre, he was in law school, and he impressed the Dre's lawyers, especially Pete Paterno, which is Metallica's lawyer, and his boss, King. His last name's King. They gave him
Tim King.
Yeah, man. What do you know? Everything.
Tim King, and Tim King's involved with Pavement Music.
No, but you know what's funny? At the end, they gave him a card, and they go, as soon as you're done with law school, come and work for us. At that firm. That firm is like Dr. Dre's lawyer, Metallica's lawyer. I mean, it's the biggest.
And you want to know, I have a connection to Dr. Dre because I interviewed a guy who was in the studio, Scott Gutierrez. He actually he was in the studio for the last two songs Tupac recorded when he was alive. And then years later, Scott Gutierrez worked for Dr. Dre and Aftermath. So it's a small world how things go around.
Yeah, and Dre, see, the thing is, I had the trademark, man, from the government. You pay to get a trademark. Most bands
I knew about that.
And then how could it not get enforced, man? But that thing was like, the judge was bribed because
the judge, his response was, well, their rap, your metal. There's no crossover.
And this was at the time when rap metals were starting to happen. You know what I mean? So they were, so it was the time when rap and metal were kind of like closer than ever.
Korn, Limp Bizkit were starting to come out there. Even though Anthrax had experimented, Faith No More, but really Korn was the one that was at that era. Yes, it was, not
so it was. But the point is, like, And then it's funny because you couldn't get Led Zeppelin wouldn't have a Led Zeppelin. If you have a trademark, you have a trademark, right? What's the point of getting it from the government? Anyways, the point is, man, that team of millionaires, Dr. Dre, when they called me the first time at the to deal with this, they were lying straight up. They go, "There's a label starting. It's going to be a tiny R&B label. Nobody's going to hear of it. We don't have to deal with you, but we're going to give you like $5,000 just so we could use the name too." Right away, it was a lie. It was a small R&B label. It was the label Eminem was on. So why would they lie? Like, I just hate liars. You know what I mean? So that's deception. So they should say, "Hey, man, we're doing this, man. Just give what is fair." And I man, the price got a lot on the phone. Like, I wouldn't take the money. I don't care about material stuff. The older
No, I think you did the right thing in the long run because I think that the band has integrity, and I think that it evens out.
Well, I would never do anything for money. I don't care. Like, if I don't feel like it's the right thing to do, I mean, you can never buy me, And I proved it with the Dr. Dre thing. I could have gotten a couple $100,000, man, in the bank. Like, I don't care about the money, man. I care about music that I make, and I care about being honest, and I care about good-hearted, honest people. Good human beings.
Hey, listen, and you have the Lennon cover 1.2 million views on YouTube. So to me, look, and it does even out. And I think that, listen, we're really excited about the band's future coming up here. Again, we're really excited about the new studio record, and I have no doubt that you'll talk about that in the future. And before we sign off here, is there anything else you want to? You can say anything you want.
The only thing I wish that song,
you can say whatever you want. Go ahead.
I only wish John Lennon was alive to hear it, but his official page did share it and liked it. So that's a
well, you got dude. You got 1.2 million views, and you got that's a lot.
And I think if I'm right, I think there's two versions, the same video, but there's a video where there's two videos, so it's double that probably. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, and your second to last video, Eyes of Tomorrow, is at 46,000 views. So you guys are doing pretty well. So you know what?
We got a video with Euthanasia.
Yes. Oh my God, it's got like several 100,000.
Yeah, that's got that one's got a lot, and then there's a few other ones that got like not a million, but a good amount.
No, listen. I mean, listen. You definitely have had some success. There's no question that the band has had success.
I'll promote this. We got a Vivo page now for Aftermath Vivo.
Yes.
So everything's new there. So all those videos, even the Give Peace a Chance, they're starting again as new videos. The counts and everything.
Yep.
Because Vivo does it. But I guess what what the label says, it's hard to get a Vivo channel. I don't know.
Yeah, I've noticed that with other bands. There's definitely something with that. I wouldn't know the reason.
I don't know what it is. Yeah, it's on YouTube. I thought it's all the same.
No, there's different channels for different things, but I do have the TLG Zoid.
That's the Zoid. That's the label. But the Aftermath Vivo, if you find that's the.
I have the I do have the link to your Instagram page, which I'm going to put up here next before we get to closing thoughts one more time. I'm putting it up throughout the show so that way people can give you a follow and check out what you're up to. And they can do that here on Instagram at Aftermath_band_official. Also go to Aftermath Band Chicago on Facebook. Also, you can get the link right there directly to the brand new single before this one, and you can check out all the other band's work. Also, Sentenced to Death is out now on Aftermath Vivo's YouTube channel. Also, the TLG Zoid label YouTube channel. You can also check out the band on Bandcamp for Killing the Future. Eyes of Tomorrow is out. The lyric video has 46,000 views, and the band's in the Hall of Fame, and Dr. Dre is not in the Hall of Fame for this one. So we're even things out for you. But I know you got to run. I want to pass the baton to you for some closing thoughts, my friend. Anything else you want to plug, share, or say? The floor is yours.
No, man. Thank you for this amazing interview. You rule. And hopefully we can meet in person sometime. Yeah, and
I would love to. I mean, listen, you're welcome anytime. And by the way, I mean, what an honor for us. I mean, to have two consecutive great Greek metal musicians, metal gods in the last week. Gus G.
You know what? I was going to mention it to you in the beginning, but I forgot. I was going to go, hey, I'm the next Greek on here,
That's awesome. And you know, it's funny. I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, and where I grew up on my block, I grew up with like a lot of Greeks. So I was always friends with Greeks. All my life, I've always liked the Greeks. So I mean, we got
I
Gus
have
G.
cousins. Well, I have cousins, but they live in Astoria, Queens.
Yes, Astoria, which is still has some Greeks. That was definitely ethnically, Astoria was one of the Greek enclaves that still has remnants of it.
Yeah, because when my cousin used to come to Chicago and we take him to Greek town, he goes, "This is nothing, man," and he had the thick Brooklyn accent.
Yeah, yeah.
Goes,
Well, yeah.
Our Greek town is huge, you know.
No, Astoria, Bay Ridge had Greeks, but it's not. I'm sure like Greece
not
or
like
even
it was. Yeah.
No, it's but I got you and Gus G in the last week, so for me, I'm good. I mean, I'm a made man for the Greek community, so especially the Greek metal.
Well, you got to go Greece sometime, man. Go to those islands. It's mind blowing.
Well, you are definitely going to, I'm sure, point that out to us. But my friend, thank you so much for everything you've done. I really love the new video. I love the last two singles. So excited for the band, for the new music, and my best to Steve, Ray, and George. And we'll see you soon here. And thank you for all you do. And Happy New Year.
And thank you for doing music interviews. It was an honor to meet you. And the last thing I'll say to everybody, a Facebook page and Vivo for YouTube. That's the ones that we really want to promote now. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, yes. Facebook. Unfortunately, my Facebook I can't share on my laptop, but I do want to promote that. Make sure because the band has 30,000 followers there on Facebook. So please, we'll connect that when my chat's here. I'll make sure to hit that up for them. And also Instagram Aftermath_band official. Please go out there and support the band. And we are here with Charlie Tsiolis. He is the singer, and the band Aftermath is celebrating their 40th anniversary, and they have two songs, Eyes of Tomorrow and Sentenced to Death. Go watch on the Aftermath Vivo and the TLG Zoid label groups videos. Thank you, everybody. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice figuratively and literally where all music matters here on Sportzwire Radio. Like, share, and subscribe. And until then, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. On the number one.
Thank you.
Thank
you again.
No, that's it. We'll see. That's a wrap. Charlie said it, so we're going to go. We'll see you tomorrow.